Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Engler Journey podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Vanderford, and today I have the pleasure of being with a pork expert in the industry right here in the Engler program, Kristen Herrick, and it's so nice to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks, Olivia. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I know I've been involved in 4-H, and I loved it because of all the different experiences and leadership opportunities I got showing pigs for like 9 or 10 years. And my favorite pig was always the spot pig, the spot breed. So what was your favorite breed? What did you love about 4-H?
Yeah, funny enough, I would probably have to agree with that.
Yeah.
I loved the spots. I think the best part about it was the baby pigs when they were little and they were colorful, and then they had the floppy ears. Absolutely loved them. Those are my favorites. But yeah, so that's actually how I got started in 4-H. My mom is an extension educator in Franklin and Kearney counties, and so I lived and breathed 4-H my entire life, and it was everything I could imagine. Absolutely loved the experiences I had, the people I met all along. But I really found my passion showing pigs. And funny enough, my brother, he's the reason we got into pigs. Once he was old enough to show in 4-H, we decided to buy a sow and we were going to breed it. And he quickly found out that he hated pigs, and I quickly found out that I loved them. Ever since then, I had a passion for the swine industry and wanted to be involved in it.
Yeah, so that kind of became an opportunity. Even though he didn't like it, you liked it, and it kind of gave you your path in 4-H.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, definitely something that, like I said, I quickly fell in love with, but it led me to a lot of different amazing experiences, opportunities to grow my leadership, to grow businesses, and to continue my passion.
Yeah, and what was like an experience from showing pigs that you will always remember, or like a moment that really kind of stuck with you through college?
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that in general, I just think is a great experience, and if I know others have experienced it as well, but being successful in the ones you raise. And so it was COVID year. I got out of school in March, and I spent every minute in the barn the rest of that summer and even into the next school year. And so I put a lot of hard work into that. And that county fair year, I ended up winning Grand Champion Market Barrel, which yeah, for some might not be that big of a deal, but I raised that pig. I bred its mom. I was there for all of those experiences, its entire life, I guess you could say. And so being able to see all of my hard work pay off was super, super rewarding, and just, I think, refueled my passion and made me want to continue to do that. And I think that's probably, honestly, again, what sparked because I wanted to share that passion and give others that opportunity as well.
Yeah, and why do you think showing pigs is so important for young people today?
Yeah, so I guess I didn't necessarily mention quite yet. My freshman year of high school, for my SAE, I started KK Show Pigs, and that was when I started, I guess, selling them. Before, I was just raising them for my brother and I to show for 4-H and FFA. But like I said, I quickly found out that it was my passion, and I absolutely loved it, and I got to meet so many people through it. I made a lot of connections. That's how I ended up meeting you, right?
Yeah.
And before we even got to college. And so I think the connections and experiences you make through showing livestock, through being involved in the ag industry, is super impactful. And I was lucky enough to have that at a very young age, and so I wanted to start KK Show Pigs to give other youth that opportunity as well, because I saw how big of a difference it made in my life.
Yeah, and talking about your business, so how has that changed, or how did you start that within the Engler program?
Yeah, so like I said, freshman year of high school, I started KK Show Pigs. That was really my main focus, was selling pigs that I've raised to. Really, it was locally around Franklin in Nebraska. But once COVID hit in 2020, I saw the opportunity to sell pork. There was really a demand for that. There wasn't a ton of meat on the shelves because packing plants were shutting down. Getting pigs into lockers or livestock into lockers was definitely a struggle. So I saw the demand for it, and I saw an opportunity to really expand my business. I had the pigs, I had the connections, I had the availability in lockers already, and so I took advantage of that opportunity and started KK Pork. So I was still continuing KK Show Pigs, but I decided to take the opportunity to expand that to KK Pork. And then once I joined Engler, that next year, I was really able to hone in on the different. I don't even know how to say it, the different parts of the business, and really focus on how I could be successful. And so, again, I quickly learned that it was something that I was very passionate about, and I wanted to continue on for a long time. Hopefully, eventually, it could be a full-time business. And so I knew Engler had that opportunity of honing in on the financial side of things, the structure of everything. And so I was able to take classes really immediately that allowed me to really finalize different aspects of my business that are going to make the longevity of it last forever. So.
Yeah, which really helped you learn how to be an entrepreneur starting in college instead of when you're out working.
Correct. Yeah, and that was something right away. It allowed me to really plan it in when I look at one of the classes I took was a roadmap module through Engler, and it allowed me to really focus in on, okay, eventually I want this to be a full-time gig, so how can I incorporate it in my life currently to work towards that while still being a college student, while after college, maybe having a different career path for a little bit, but having it on as a side gig, but still just planning out having that entrepreneurial mindset of how can we plan this so eventually it can be what you do.
Yeah, and what's the everyday process of your business, or how do you think it'll look in the future? How do you get the pork to the consumer?
Yeah, absolutely. So this last year, this is actually the first year that we're not doing KK Show Pigs. We're going to try to focus specifically on KK Pork, and a lot of that just comes with me being in college and really relying on my family. All of the businesses that my family has, where a lot of different entrepreneurs in there, is all family businesses, and it is a family affair in every aspect, and without them, I would not be able to have KK Pork, KK Show Pigs. And so this last year, though, we decided to really hone in on KK Pork because I wanted it to be very successful, and I wanted to make it manageable for everyone in the situation we're in right now, right, with me and Lincoln. And so we ended up selling some sows and kept a few to make it manageable for the situation we're in right now, right? And so what we really do is a lot of the basics, chores at home. Luckily, my parents can do that, of the feeding, watering, farrowing, stuff like that. But the marketing side of things really, really comes into play because we have a niche market. And so really focusing in on consumers that value knowing where their food comes from, having a quality product, having a safe product, all of that kind of stuff. And that allows me to really hone in also on the education side of things, of teaching people about the agriculture industry, where their food comes from, my story, and that's something that I think is super impactful, is everyone sharing their story in general. And I think that's something that from the very beginning I've always wanted to do, is make an impact, and you can't do that unless you share your story. And so that has been a big aspect of KK Pork, is sharing my story and making personal connections with my customers. And so once I have made those sales, I always like to be able to meet my customers, hand them my product, see a face, because people value that.
Yeah, and what do you think is the most important thing people should know about your business or about the pork industry?
Yeah, I think it's, obviously we're in a beef state, but pork is right up there with the quality, the nutrition side of things. Something that has kind of been left behind, I feel like, but it's always a quality option for you and your family. And I think, here in Nebraska, there really is an opportunity to find those small producers who are direct to consumer. And so obviously that's what I'm trying to do. And I think there's, again, opportunity to make those personal connections and know your producer and know exactly where your food is coming from. And I think, the pork industry has a huge opportunity because although we are the beef state and everyone, focuses on that, all we need is a push to be right up there with them. And so that comes with, advocating for the pork producers, advocating for the industry, and actually had the opportunity of being a pork ambassador. I don't even know what year that was, a couple years back. And it was really eye-opening because I feel like everything is really focused on the big confinement hog barns rather than your small producer. And so it really gave me a push to focus on advocating for small businesses, for small producers. And, there is a place for you within the industry. And so, making those connections through my ambassador experience was super fun. Just seeing all of those different operations and stuff like that really allowed me, I think, to gain the knowledge I need to be an advocate for the industry.
Yeah, and like you were saying, smaller producers, what do you think's unique about small businesses? Yeah,
small businesses, I will go back to freshman year. The word that I chose was being genuine. I think being genuine is super, super important, and I think that comes with small businesses. Being who you are, being loyal, someone who values relationships. I think that is what makes small businesses, and I think I see that with just being in the Engler community of how genuine people are, and that's what makes us all special, and that's what makes Engler special, and all of those small businesses is being genuine and loyal, and the want to make an impact, the want to be part of something bigger than yourself, and so I guess that kind of answers a couple different questions there, but I think that's what makes specifically small businesses special, but as well as the Engler program.
Yeah, and someone who was genuine too was Paul Engler.
Yes.
So how would you talk about your experience meeting him and what kind of a person he was?
Yeah, absolutely. You just look at the entire story of Paul Engler and it's kind of just, it leaves me in awe, honestly. You look at how giving he was. You look at this program and the financial side of things and how much opportunity it is for youth is I can't even fathom that, right? And so the fact that he, his contributions are so impactful is outstanding. And I think that shows, he had that true entrepreneurial mindset from the very beginning. His entire story shows the grittiness, the passion, all of that, to bring us to, we sit in Engler here today, and it's like none of that would have happened without him. And so I only got to meet him a few times. I have been awarded scholarships all 4 years and was a finalist twice. And so I had the opportunity to exchange letters with him a couple times, and I met him in person. And I think, again, just the fact that he was so giving and wanted, talk about impact. He wanted to make an impact, and he has made an impact on so many people's lives. And so I can't thank him enough, because I would not be where I am today without, the opportunities he was able to give me.
Yeah, and I mean, the Engler program has given us all so many different mentors and so many different classes and experiences. What have been some of your favorite classes or some of your favorite mentors?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my favorite class is the Entrepreneurship 322 Family Business class. And I actually had the opportunity to TA for it again this semester. I took it a year ago, last spring. And what I love about it is, it's all about family business, but it really hones in on agriculture, which I think is super beneficial. And I've seen it not just within myself, but my peers as well, who have taken it. And what I love about it is I can walk away from there. I love listening to Tom. To Tom. He always leaves me inspired and wanting to go take action, right? And so that's something that I just love about that class specifically, because I think it really allows you to think about those difficult conversations, to think about everything that you really want to avoid. But it's critical to have those conversations. It's critical to think about all those different pieces. Again, for the longevity of your family business. And, like I said before, all of our family businesses are family affairs. They're focused on everyone in the family and their contribution. And that's exactly how this class operates, is including every person, identifying all of those skills. And so being able to have the opportunity to TA for this class has also really just been a super fun adventure, I guess you could say, just because obviously like things in class from each semester can shift a little bit. So I'm learning a little bit new material, but also being able to teach that and kind of have a leadership role in all of that. And so one of my minors is actually leadership and communication. So being able to take opportunity of those skills and hopefully make an impact on the other students. So I've really enjoyed that. Talking about mentors and everything like that, I really just look at this entire Engler community as a whole, and once again, they leave me in awe, because to surround yourself with so many entrepreneurs, people that are driven, people that are creative and have just such a unique mindset is so special to me. And I think, that's what sets UNL apart, is the fact that they have an opportunity, they have a program like nothing else in the world, right? I think that's so special. I also look at the fact that although we do have an amazing staff with the Engler program, so many things are student-led. Everything, everything is about those students, about giving them the opportunity to grow, be successful, and gain skills and experiences and all that. And so I think as a whole, just the Engler community is just so special.
Yeah, it's such a unique program, and it just brings so many people together to network and meet other people. And so I know you've talked about your family throughout this podcast a lot as a big, important part of your life. So what are some of those values you've brought with you from the farm to the Engler program? Yeah,
absolutely. I think the work ethic, obviously growing up on a farm, growing up in agriculture, you have that work ethic from owning your own businesses. You have to, a lot of the time, a lot of these businesses are brand new, right? We start these from the ground up. And so having that work ethic and determination to, I don't want to do this today, but we got to do it if we want to be successful. We got to do it to get the job done. And hopefully along the way, your passion is brought in there, and you start to love what you're doing. And obviously there's different aspects of those jobs that it's like, I don't want to do it, but I'm passionate about it. I want to be successful. I'm going to do it, right? But to love what you do, to give 100% in everything you do. I think to trust God. Faith is a big deal to me and my family. And so, praying about things, trusting God's plan, having faith all along, I think is a huge part. Loyalty. I do think if you are loyal to your people, are a good person, and value those relationships, I think that will get you a long ways. My credo, again, from freshman year was love others, serve God, and have a gracious heart. And I still have that hung up in my bedroom at home, and it's something that I try to live by in all aspects of my life. And I think I learned a lot of that from growing up, and I hope that that's seen in my businesses. I hope that's seen in my personal life, professional life, whatever. But again, I think if you are a good person, work hard, and take advantage of those opportunities, God has a plan, and you'll figure it out. Life will be good. So.
Yeah, well said. And I mean, in the Engler program, that's just got to help you when you're networking with other people. And moving on from that, what was one of your favorite experiences in the Engler program?
Yeah, I would say something that has just been really unique and just something that I think about often has been very helpful in so many aspects of my life. Again, kind of goes back to that scholarship. I was able to, like I said, make the finals twice in my college career, and I have never had an interview experience like that. And it was something that had just really been such a unique experience and was super beneficial in the fact of preparing me for so many different other aspects. And I think, I was able to talk to multiple alumni, which I absolutely love. You get done kind of with your interview questions, and then you sit there and it's like, okay, can I hear a little bit about you? Because I think their story is important as well. And so getting to talk to multiple Engler alum, and then, they ask you questions that you're like, oh, I can't prepare for this, right? It's like, I'm not preparing for an average interview. It's something that allows you to really reflect, really hone in on your values, hone in on your passion, your entrepreneurial mindset, all of those different things. And that I've been able to take those experiences and apply them to different opportunities, whether it's interviews, whether it's some kind of public speaking. I go back to it in just my everyday making decisions of that I don't even know how to explain it. Those little moments just have had such a big effect on me as a person, and I think how I do things, how I view things, and stuff like that. And so that was just one experience that I really value. And that's something I always tell incoming students is, the scholarship opportunities within Engler is crazy. It's crazy, like I said. But the experience is super unique and fun. And I would tell you that experience my freshman year, or coming in my freshman year, I was still a senior in high school when I had my first interview, really drew me in of I want to be here. I want to be part of this community, all of that, because of that special experience I had with my scholarship interviews.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes this community unique, all the different opportunities.
Absolutely.
And I know you said with your business that you're planning on returning to a town in Nebraska somewhere. You don't know quite yet. But why do you want to do that? Why do you love the communities across Nebraska?
Yeah, I think, as much as I love Lincoln, I think there's value in a rural community, and I still think there's opportunity to continue marketing within urban areas, but I think at the end of the day, I want to surround myself with those small town people in a community that, supports each other. You get to kind of collaborate on different things. I also think is super fun. But, small town Nebraska is unlike anything else. And I think, I got to see that growing up, and I absolutely love that. And I got to see how much my community and different people and opportunities, how big of an impact they had on me. And so, again, I want to go back and I want to make an impact. I feel like if I can go back to rural Nebraska and hopefully, make half of the impact that people and different opportunities in my hometown had on me, that hopefully I can make a difference in someone's life.
Yeah, that's very cool, taking your experiences here in the Engler program back to a town in Nebraska, trying to make that impact. So that's so cool. And one more question I wanted to ask you was, 20 years from now, what are you going to be most thankful for being in the Engler program?
Yeah, I think, I always just think about the community, and I think about the people. And 20 years from now, I hope I'm able to call someone that I met within the Engler community, or even, just have the opportunity to have that resource, right? And call them and say, hey, I need help. in this area, how can you help me in my business? You know what I mean? And using them as resources, because I think, like I said, I love that we're all driven, entrepreneurial mindset, like all of those different aspects. We all have that, and that's what's so special to surround yourself with. And so I think, in 20 years, I will be thankful for all of the people I met, all the networking I did. And, I think in the professional side of things, with how many friendships I have made, right? And friendships that I know will last forever. And so that's what I just think is cool, is the community aspect of things and the impact that they've already made in my life, that in 20 years from now, I think they will continue to be able to make.
Yeah, and really that's kind of the main thing here in the program, the networks and the different communities that you get from being right here in the Engler program. Well, thank you, Kristen, for being here today. I loved hearing more about your story and what you're doing in the pork industry. I know you're going to make an impact. And if I ever need to get pork, I'll know who to call.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.